I have in me the ability to make you a better you. So if you work hard, focus, stay on point, you can do anything. Trust me.
We made this track to tell everybody they can follow their dreams.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KEAVERSVOICE.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
When we invest in ourselves, our glow, our vision, our vibe, we all shine. Together, we are black beyond measure.
Remember the revival? Relive the remix. Reunite for the Orange Blossom Classic. HBCU Reunion Experience. It's year 3, baby, and we back with that fire. Calling all HBCU fans. Labor Day weekend. The I Love Jackson State University takes on the venomous Florida A&M University. Tickets are on sale now. Watch the game in premium style seating or watch it from a luxury suite. And of course, you know the halftime show is going to be epic right here in the 305. The sonic boom of the South and the illustrious Marching 100. Who you rocking with? The 2023 Orange Blossom Classic. Don't miss the HBCU Reunion Experience. Labor Day weekend, Miami Gardens, Florida, Hard Rock Stadium. Trust me, we'll see you there. Oh. Check out
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. Never ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to another live episode. I don't know where this came from, Kelvin. Bad start to the show. Let me reset that. 3, 2, 1. Hello, welcome to another live episode of the O&G StrikeZone. Brian Fulford here, Kelvin Rozier, and soon to be joining us, a good friend, Marcus Green. And we got an exciting show tonight. Kelvin, how you doing, my man?
Man, I'm doing great, first of all. And do I look like I'm ready for the OBC? Do it look
Hey,
like I'm ready for the executive director? We already had a hot mic moment.
yeah, you look ready. You look ready. You got, you are ready for to sit in the sun side and the shady side. You know, it doesn't matter what side of the stadium. You look ready, man. You look ready. Yeah. So as we tweeted out earlier, coming up at about 15 after. So those of you who jumping in early, go ahead and start sending the retweets. Let people know we have the Orange Blossom Classic Executive Director, Miss Kendra Bullock, coming up here at 8:15. We're going to talk about the OBC. We're going to get all the tea, as the kids say, about what's going on with the reunion this year. As it's called, get your tickets now. The reunion is down in Miami Gardens on Sunday, September 3rd, and so we're gonna get a chance to talk with her and kind of find out about all the planning and everything. I really like what they've been doing from a marketing perspective of what
Yeah.
I've seen. Some good stuff. A lot of well planned things. So we'll talk about that. And then coming up in the second hour, we got the ace. The ace of our pitching staff is joining us. He's a follower. He's a friend of the show. He's been following us. A lot of times we get some retweets from him, and it's going to be Hunter Viets, our ace pitcher, will be coming up, and we got a big series this weekend against Alabama State. And then right after that, we go right into SWAC baseball tournament play, Kelvin. It's here. It's time. It's time.
Championship time. That's what it's all about. It's that
Championship
time of
time.
year.
Exactly. The women have been doing their thing, of course. With the championship of our tennis program. We finished second and third in a couple of sports, and we had some individual champions in track and field. And so this is our last men's sport to have an opportunity to kind of plant a flag in the final. I guess the final stanza here for the 2022-23 year. So we'll get into that. Want to thank you guys for watching us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Make sure you're following us at O&G StrikeZone. Please go download the Jericho Broadcast Network's app on the Google Play and Apple App Store. Just search My JBN, My BCSN is where you can find us already. So big shout out to somebody who jumped in. I think you know that person there. Shout out to
What's
Kenneth.
up, Kenny?
Also checking in early, Chuck Hunt from Monroe, Louisiana. Good to have you on, Chuck. Thank you for joining us. Shout out to Tamara T for jumping in there, as well as Mary 305. J Mac jumps in as well. So we appreciate all of you guys for jumping in early. I know there's going to be a lot of people coming in soon, so hopefully those folks come in live. Let's before we get to Miss Bullock coming up here in about less than 10 minutes, let's kind of talk on. We can go a couple different places. We talked about this offline, Kelvin. Sort of a shorter version of the Rattler Roundup. What do you got? We got two big stories we could talk about for the roundup. Which one do you want to go to first?
Let's talk about the revamped website.
Okay.
Athletic.
I like that. Yeah. Let me go ahead and I'll let you go ahead and start, and I'll go ahead and flash on the website for those who may not be aware of this. But yeah, we actually have a new athletic website. For those of you who have not been bumping around or maybe have missed it, FAMUathletics.com got an overhaul. What have been some of your observations, things you like? What do you see about the overhaul?
It is much better for mobile users. That's number one for me that stood out, because I use my phone. I'm on the go a lot, so I use my iPhone quite a bit, and it's much more friendlier from a mobile standpoint. And it's also just well organized. It's user friendly. It's clean. good design, and I like the hierarchy it has, how it's laid out when you get to the front page now. Where you see the news and the videos featured, right?
Right,
So
right, right. And here, the current story. Obviously, the earlier today, I saw the golfer story here. Patrick Jean-Pierre and Troy Stribling. That was the lead story earlier. This over here, the quick links. I'm a big fan of the quick links here. Where you can click over here, you can go to archive stories. And those pop up very quickly.
Also, when you go to the sports page, instead of the quick links on it over there, you have the schedule. So if you're on a baseball page, then you can also see the schedule.
So I'm on the baseball page, and I can go right over here to schedule.
No, scroll down.
Wait a minute.
Just scroll down.
Hold on.
Oh.
All right, here we go. Baseball, and scroll down. Oh, right here on the calendar, on the left side. Okay,
yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So instead of that being in the upper top area,
right,
that's more now on the side, and it even gives you past results, so you can see the most current results from right there.
Great job, Josh. Great job.
Yeah.
And team.
And team. They did this in conjunction with Sidearm Sports. I happened to notice, it's funny. I happen to, only because of the show I do on Saturday, I happen to be on Southern's website, and I happened to notice that Southern had redid their site, and that's what I was like, oh, and then to kind of see that pop up was kind of interesting as well. Let me bring in Marcus Green. Marcus, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. How are y'all? Happy Rattler evening.
Yeah.
What's going on, Marcus?
Doing good. Just hectic day.
I understand. Hey, well, we're sitting here.
That's what we always say when we late.
Touche.
Had a busy day, fellas. Sorry.
Yeah.
I understand, though. I understand.
Live stats here. A lot of times, this is good stuff here. Live stats, because we're just not fully outfitted to be streaming a lot of our events yet, hopefully. So you have access real quickly to live event stats. That's good. It's easy to access.
Now, one thing I'll mention is that, like you were saying, I think North Carolina A&T, I think a lot of the HBCUs with Sidearm got theirs revised because A&T just announced theirs as well.
Okay. Links to follow. One thing that I found kind of interesting here is how when you click on photos and videos, they take you to the athletic page on Facebook. I don't know.
Because they do Facebook Live and most of their videos and stuff. So I kind of understand it. I don't know if there's another way to have it directly.
Yeah, well, okay. I mean, I just, what I don't like, this is personal pet peeve here while we're critiquing here, is that when you go to this, if you bump around in the photos or videos, it's not a separate page that comes up. My personal preference is, if you're going to send me off the website, give me a separate window. That's my personal. That's me personally. So.
Yeah, that's I can understand that. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Everybody's a little different. What I will say also, if you notice this, and while we're talking baseball, if you're on the baseball page, notice here that you can follow the sport-specific Instagram and Twitter feeds, which is something new. I think everybody has that. We'll go over to our championship tennis program. And, we go over here, and there it is. You can follow the Rattlers on Instagram. Also, what's prominent here, I think it should be noted, the Rattler Local Exchange here for NIL opportunities. This is something. This is one of these things that rarely get talked about because I don't think we really know how to explain it. We don't really know how to sell it to the fan base. So it's like we have it there, but I don't think we utilize it very well.
Well, I think, Brian, that the team, the athletic administrative team, hasn't been in place long, and the folks have just been brought on that will be the lead in that. So I'll be interested to see as we move forward, and now these team members get acquainted with the lay of the land, so to speak, how that will transition.
Sponsorship opportunities is something new here. The Rattler Sports Properties as well, that shows how you can partner with the Rattlers. And there's some different opportunities here for
property
businesses.
assets. Okay.
Yeah, property assets. I think this is where the one of the two new hires from VPAD Sykes. This is one of their jobs, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think it's the gentleman that came earlier in March, not the most recent one. I think both of them have CIAA experience, but the one that was hired, I want to say in mid-March, I've forgotten his name, but I think his expertise was in this area. And she mentioned she walked around with him the first week in terms of signage placement and real estate within Bragg, and he was asking, well, why don't you have items here, here, here? So. It was proving his worth. But yeah, that looks, some of these pages are some things that I don't recall seeing on the previous, like the Rattler properties.
Right. Current partners. This is another one I think is huge here. So you can kind of see who the current partners are. And you were talking about that directory there, right? Continue to full site right here. Look, hey, we can go right here to staff directory. We can figure out who that is right off the bat. It's either Mr. Marcus Grant. He handles the internal. I think it's Mr. Hagens. Breon Hagens is the gentleman who handles external relations. So that would be him, right? So, but yeah, overall though, I'd give the what grade? I'd give it about an A. I'd give it an A, a solid A. A good step forward for the athletic department.
Then we'll have to click around and see. I haven't clicked around on it and see if some of the other issues, just with the, I guess, functionality got fixed. I know there are a couple of times if you can go to a sports at the main page with the previous template, but if you go inside of sports, sometimes the drop down window would cover up so you couldn't go back to other sports, and there are a couple little quirks there.
I love the banner ads here too, nice and bold. So hey, that's just one of the new features. Congratulations again to Josh Padilla and the team of folks who worked alongside Sidearm Sports to make sure that we have a nice functioning athletic website, real professional, real clean, real good look. So yeah, props to the athletic department. Hey, let's do this, fellas. Let's take a short timeout because on the other side of the break, we've got the Orange Blossom Classic Executive Director ready to join us. So we'll take a quick break, come back with that conversation. You guys in the chat room, get ready. Get your questions ready. A lot of them, we've been observing. So hopefully Ms. Kendra Bullock will answer many of your questions that you guys have been asking about the OBC. So stay tuned. Give us 2 minutes. We'll be right back. You're watching the O&G StrikeZone.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com. All right, welcome back to the O&G StrikeZone. Brian, Kelvin, Marcus, and it's a pleasure to be joined by the executive director of the Orange Blossom Classic, Miss Kendra Bullock. How you doing, Miss Bullock? How you doing? Make sure we get your audio. Got to unmute your microphone. Okay, now
I'm doing well. How are you guys again?
Awesome. Thank you for joining us.
Oh no, thank you for having me.
Well, let's get right into it, because I know Rattler Nation, we are excited to be a part of the Orange Blossom Class again.
Kelvin, you ready?
Look, yeah, Kelvin's ready. He's ready regardless of what side we are on. He's ready for it. Look, we're gonna. This is the year. We feel like Rattler Nation feels like this is the year where we finally exercise whatever it is that's kind of had us stuck in the mud about Jackson State. I think we are changing hotels. Whatever we did last year, as we talked to when we had Troy Johnson on, we changing whatever we did the last 2 years. New hotel, new route to the stadium, new pregame meals, whatever we got to do to get a win. I think the staff will be ready for this year.
I think so. I think this is the year. The reunion year is the year. I believe it.
So let's talk about that to start. The name, the reunion. Last year it was the remix. What went into the name and the theme of the reunion for this year?
So, I'm fortunate to have a wonderful marketing team. I'm able to kind of give them my vision, and then they come back with all of the creative bells and whistles that make that vision come to life. And so, of course, we know year one, it was the revival, because this was, 2021. We were coming off of a 40-year hiatus, coming off of a pandemic. The remix, year two, we came back with the same two teams, but still wanted everybody to know that even though it was the same two teams, we were still coming back with something even better. And now year three is the reunion. So the concept behind the reunion is, we're embracing FAMU and Jackson State fans, but, we want everybody to convene here in South Florida Labor Day weekend. So we're doing a call out for everyone who has a love for HBCUs, everyone who supports HBCUs. We've added events this year. We have a step show. So we're really tapping into, the Divine Nine culture. We're, bringing in honorees and guests throughout the weekend from other HBCUs. So the idea behind the reunion is that we are convening here in South Florida to celebrate all HBCUs. That what happened in 2021, when everyone was so excited and so hyped up, and when, we saw enrollment increase with HBCUs, we're not going to let that momentum die just because, certain conversations are not being had now. So we're just doing that call out for all HBCUs. And that's the idea behind the reunion.
Nice. And one of the things I was telling Kelvin earlier, the promotions and marketing that I've been seeing lately.
Yes.
I mean, I think I've seen the orange everywhere across the state over the past 4 months. But that's also
TV, radio, social media. You all are doing an excellent job early on that. I'm telling you, I've seen it everywhere.
Listen, everybody loves Ollie. When Ollie was hanging out on Set Friday, just the last Set Friday, April 21st, with DJ Loose Kid, and Ollie went viral. And the kids loved it. That, we're the only classic that right now that has a mascot. So again, shout out to my marketing team. They do a phenomenal job. And we've got a surprise for you guys this year. So Ollie has been on the move.
Okay.
And he's going to show you guys just how much he's been on the move. So Ollie has some surprises coming up. So you guys, you have not seen the last of Ollie. And right now, I think we're running a promotion on our social media. If you click on our link tree or click on the link on our social, there's a promotion up that says, "Where's Ollie?" So if you go and you're able to find him, he's hidden on our website. If you click to where he's hidden and you locate him, then we got a special treat for you. So Ollie is having fun on this road to the reunion.
Nice. Kelvin, go ahead. I'll let you get in there with the next question.
I was going to go in a different direction, but I think I want to ask, first of all, you kind of mentioned the one new event, the Step Show. I wanted to ask what new you're doing, and the follow-up behind that is, so now this is year 3. What have you learned? Have you accomplished a lot of what you were looking to accomplish? And what else is there that you want to target?
So, with these things, you always learn a lot. I tell my team all the time, we'll never get to the point where we have mastered everything. If there's anybody on the team that thinks that they have mastered everything, we have a problem. So, we're always learning, always growing, always improving. So we have learned, we go back every year and we debrief and we talk about the things that went well and how we can make those even better. We talk about the things that didn't go so well, and figure out how we can come back and fix those. We have meetings with all of our partners. When the game ends in September, we take maybe a week or two to just kind of relax, and then we're right back in the trenches. So we meet with all of our partners, all of our stakeholders to get their feedback. And, we take that into consideration and try to make it even better every year. So I am happy about the product that we have produced. One of the other things that you learn very early on in leadership is that you cannot please everybody. But, I can't sleep at night knowing that we've done a phenomenal job for the greater good of those key stakeholders. And we have people that, that really, really have embraced what we're doing. And they are, repeat ticket holders, they're repeat sponsors. So that says a lot, that says a lot.
And I will attest to that, that I've interacted with several different constituencies. And of course, I've attended every last one of them along with my family and friends and so forth. You run a first class event. It's a real classic festive event. And so the players, the coaches, everybody, they're very complimentary of how they're treated, the events, the facilities, and so forth. So I just want to give you that kudos.
Thank you. And that's what we want. That's what we want. And that's what we want to continue to do. And we're doing it. We're having a good time. And we're helping our HBCUs. We're providing a financial infusion into these HBCUs. We're providing opportunities for these student athletes. So anytime you could have fun and at the same time help your community and help, individuals that you set out to help, it's a win.
Marcus, go ahead, jump in there with the next round of questions.
Excuse me, I'm just getting over a cold. Evening, Miss Bullock. I don't believe I was on last time you joined us in the O&G Strike Zone, so thank you for coming back.
Thank you.
I did want to ask a question that's been kind of prevalent in Rattler Nation. It's kind of three questions in one, but it's centered around one main topic, which is the start time of the game. Now, I've only been to Miami once, a long, long time ago, but I know it's hot. I'm from the
Well,
South as well.
I won't hold that against you. Keep
Well,
talking.
well, thank you. Well, thank you. Well, the question, I guess, around the start time, and
Hmm.
how much did the television contracts and ESPN agreements affect the start time, or does it dictate it? Has the start time affected any local interest in the game as it relates to something that may be later in the evening? And we'll just start with those two.
Okay, so yes, I expect to see you here Labor Day weekend 2023, Marcus. Um, just get that out of the way. But yes, so I know that there has been a lot of concerns as it relates to the start time. We do not choose the start time. Let me say that. It is determined based on our agreement with ESPN, who's our national broadcast partner. Um, I tell people this, we see the concerns, and like I said, when the game is over, we debrief. We know the things that we've done well and the things that we need to work on, and we hear the concerns. We take those concerns back to our partners and back to our stakeholders. So that is something that I can say has been discussed. We have not officially, I know that there's been, conversations around the time of the game. The assumption is that the game will probably be around the same time, but that has not been officially released by our broadcast partner. We do know that there are a lot of things that come into play when we're determining these things. Number one, you guys know there's tennis, there are so many different things that go on. This game is a live game. And we have to also think about the fact that, nothing is a utopia. So we have to think about, okay, well, put the game time later, but then we understand that should something happen and we have to cut the game, say in the fourth quarter with 3 minutes left, when it was like year one, where it was a 7-6 game, right? Like then we'll, because it's a live game and they have to go to something else, anything could happen. We can, put the game later and have it on another network. But then let's think about what we're doing for our student athletes. The Orange Blossom Classic last year was the only game that FAMU had that was broadcast on ESPN's major network. The rest of those games were broadcast either on ESPN Plus, ESPNU, or ESPN3. When we, a lot of the things that we hear from the same people who have those concerns about the start time, we also hear things like, we want better television contracts. We hear things like, we want to make sure that, our HBCUs are getting the same type of exposure that other, institutions are getting. Well, they get that with the Orange Blossom Classic. So if I go into the room, if I get in a meeting and I talk to the people from ESPN and I say, well, we want the game to be at 6 o'clock. We want the game to be at 7 o'clock. Well, they come back and say, sure, we can do that. But what's the trade-off, right? Everybody understands with business and negotiations. So for me, I sleep better at night knowing that we're giving our kids a national television opportunity. Some people will say, oh, well, they were on that station because they were on that channel because of Dion. Not the case. The moment that Dion left Jackson State, and even with, unfortunately in the last 2 years, FAMU putting 10 points on the board, they came back, ESPN came back and said, we want to extend this contract. We believe in what you guys are doing, and we want to show HBCU football. So we know that when you're here with the Orange Blossom Classic for the next few years, you have an opportunity to be in an NFL stadium, and you have the opportunity to be on a nationally broadcast platform that a lot of these kids may not see. So to our fan base that has those concerns, we talk about those heat advisories. We talk about certain things that we can do, but I want us to also think about what this does for our student athletes.
Okay. Just a quick follow-up, for my personal curiosity, was the ESPN contract always a part of the Orange Blossom Classic, even back to the original date that was pushed back from COVID, or did it come about in 2021?
No, it went back to the original date. So we were with ESPN back in 2020.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
The fan experience. I love the fact that you were mentioning that this is a big opportunity for the student athletes. And of course, I don't think I've heard too many student athletes complaining about the start time. If I have, it hadn't been loud, but it has been
I
loud.
haven't heard it either.
Okay, I'm just saying. I'm just saying that. But the fan experience is hard. I know.
And I haven't heard a lot of, I haven't heard a lot of our fans complain about it. The ones that are, I think, the ones that are going to support, they're going to support. You're going to have what a very, one of my mentors told me, you're one, because you're always so critical. You always want to make sure that you do everything right. And one of the things that she said to me was, she said, don't allow 5 to 10 people to allow you to believe that they're the voice of Rattler Nation. So overall, I don't believe, I know that there's some concerns, and we try to address those concerns, but I haven't heard it from the student athletes. And we had over 40,000 people in the stadium, and I haven't heard from 40,000 people. And I don't let 40,000 people call me tomorrow, but so far I haven't heard that.
So let me ask, are there, you mentioned having 40, and I think even the year before was upper 40s. Is there a, obviously you like to see it grow every year. And I mean, I don't want to put you in a bubble and kind of say, is there a number that you're looking to hit? But in terms of reaching out to South Florida and getting more from South Florida, what does that look like for your goal and your projections with what you and your staff are trying to do out in the community?
So, we're fortunate to be in South Florida, very large, diverse community. Of course, we have one of the largest areas. This is one of the largest concentration of FAMU alum in this area. But aside from that, we just have a lot of people. And, South Florida does a great job of carrying and supporting this game. So I would say about, we look for, and just throughout the state of Florida, we have a large supportive area. And then when you factor in, coming down from Central Florida, Fort Pierce, all the way down, the state of Florida really shows up and shows out. And, we have a mixture. I'd say we have about 60% of in-state and then another 40% of out-of-state. We want to grow the attendance, and we want to grow that with out-of-state individuals because, and that's why, again, we've switched to that messaging about the reunion. So when you see Ollie on that road to the reunion, that's what that is for, because, it helps our stakeholders when we're bringing in people from out of state. This game, in 2021 and 2022, I think we're around just a little under $40 million in economic impact. So not only do people come, but they come and they have a good time. And, we've done a really good job. We understand that South Florida is not cheap, so I think we have right now probably about 13 hotel partners. So we try to, work with hotels. We try to work with airlines, and we say, listen, let's put a package together to make it easy for people to get here. And so, we want to grow our out-of-state fan base, but, South Florida and the state of Florida, if we don't grow it, they show up, and we're going to continue, to put out a product once again that benefits them. They're going to come. So we're fortunate for that.
Okay. Kelvin, go ahead.
I want you to talk about what you can in terms of what the OBC looks like moving forward. We have this year's game between the same two teams, and it's always been the same two teams these last 3 years. I know that there's a scheduling conflict for FAMU for 24. I think their schedule is pretty much completed, at least around those dates. So in terms of the OBC, what does it look like moving forward? Where are you trying to go?
So what the OBC looks like for me is, like I said, we're wanting to help as many HBCUs as possible. We know that the original Orange Blossom Classic FAMU was a staple, right? And this was something that was started by, J.R. Lee, who, was FAMU. So, will FAMU return? We don't know. That's a question I would say would be, more suitable for, the administration. But for the most part, we know that the Orange Blossom Classic is here to stay. And through the Classic, what we'll continue to do It's what we've always done, provide a financial infusion into these institutions. We've made very lucrative offers, to participating universities in the future. And so, we are very competitive in that arena as far as our guarantees that are, I would say, comparable to what they would get with the PWI, and so, you can come down here and play the University of Miami, but let's be honest about what that looks like, right? So, as opposed to coming down here and playing competitively and playing on a national stage, because that's not going to be a game that's televised on ESPN, but playing, on a national stage that is competitive. And again, when you talk about what it means for these student athletes and what it means for that overall experience, I have no doubt that the Orange Blossom Classic will be around for a very long time. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, we'll be able to say that we have helped a lot of HBCUs, and they have been happy to be here, because it is undeniable. If you know anything about football, South Florida is the hotbed of talent, so we have people around the country that want to get here to Florida, in South Florida particularly. So if I'm a school in Florida, I'd be nervous about another school that's not a Florida school coming down here and having the opportunity to recruit in front of my talent. So we're going to be around for a long time, and we're going to say that we've helped a lot of HBCUs.
You're a boss, all right, and you are very articulate, and you're great. You're knocking these answers out the park.
Hey, Brian, old girl got some skills. How about that?
She does.
Hot Mike.
She does. Yes, she does. She does. Marcus, go ahead with your next question.
Yes, I guess looking at it from a overall standpoint, what has been the biggest success thus far and the biggest challenge in producing a classic? And what have you learned from that, or learned from other previous classics that might not have had the same level of success?
So the biggest success, I would say, we planned an event that had a 40-year hiatus coming off of a pandemic, right? And still were able to get 40,000 people in the stadium. So thank you again to Rattler Nation. Thank you again to JSU Tigers and everybody who loved any HBCU that showed up. So that was definitely a success. I would say challenges, we just talked about it. Like you can plan, Outcast said it, you can plan a pretty picnic, but you can't predict the weather. So, it might be hot. We don't even discuss weather in the office. It might be too hot. It might be too rainy. Then if it's raining, we got to have conversations about, oh my gosh, is the band going to be able to perform? Is there going to be issues with the field? If they do perform, and then we put the team back on back on the field, and now there's damage and someone gets injured. So, just those, I would say the biggest challenges are having to make those on the spot decisions for things that you just cannot control. And what I have learned is to control the controllables. Yeah. And on Monday morning, stay off of Twitter. That's it.
I have a quick follow-up to that, if you don't mind. With the model that you've developed with the Orange Blossom Classic, would it be not necessarily a franchise, but would you branch out and have other classics in other cities using the script, if you will, that you've used to resurrect the Orange Blossom Classic, and almost have like a conglomerate of creating classics, HBCU classics across the country?
Yeah, that is something that we have explored simply because we know, like I said, this is a great area. We've got, South Florida, Labor Day, who wouldn't want to be here? But it is the bottom. So when you have a lot of those HBCUs that are in other parts of the country, it's not that easy for them to get here. So, everybody says go to Atlanta, but, we're not looking at that Atlanta, I think is pretty much oversaturated, but we are looking at other areas and other opportunities, and we're bringing other things to South Florida. We have, I don't know if my team will let me talk about it yet, but we've got some surprises coming up, so we're branching out into other sports. Let me just say that. Other sports and other areas.
You could drop us a hint on something. I know they won't mind. Just one.
Hey, the The mic is not hot.
No,
We're not listening.
Nobody's listening. Nobody is watching.
Nice try.
But thank you for your
But like
answer.
I said, Orange Blossom Classic, my goal and with the wonderful team that I have, because I'm just the one, that gets to express my vision and I get to sit in front of the camera and do the interviews, but I couldn't do any of it without the phenomenal people that work with me. So with my vision, their vision, the Orange Blossom Classic is not going anywhere.
Let me follow up. I'd like to follow up with what Marcus asked. Have other organizers, other schools contacted you in the OBC? Okay. I take that as a yes, they have. Okay. You don't have to give names. I want to follow up. They called.
Listen, it's like, what the FAMU? They not what? Okay. Yeah, we've gotten calls.
Okay.
I'm joking, but again, I think that's a testament to when you work to put out a product that people can appreciate, and I love FAMU. My child is at FAMU, so my heart and my money is at FAMU. From a business standpoint and a personal standpoint. So, I think that, what we have done these last 2 years, and what we're going to do this year, FAMU is, as you know, the moniker is, College of Love and Charity. They are excellence with caring. And what we've always tried to do is to produce an event that mirrors that. And so when you have an event for 2 years where you have people like Will Packer, Rob Hardy, Keisha Lance Bottoms. We just had Roy Wood Jr. grace our stage last year, and he was, hosting the White House Correspondents' Dinner a couple of weeks ago. Rashawn Ali, and I could name so many other people. When you have people that, convene in one place, consecutively, for these last couple of years, and they're coming back year 3, that says a lot. And so people here, they know this, and they're like, okay, so listen, if we bring our school, can we, bring in some of our alumni? Because it's not just athletics. You think about what it does from a developmental standpoint. If I'm in fundraising and I'm in, development, I'm in South Florida, the whole week, of the Orange Blossom Classic, because I know what it brings. And I look at what we've done as far as, I can't say enrollment, but applications. We've had people who have an interest in attending these HBCUs, right? So we've helped these, putting out this type of product helps the universities from that perspective. Now people, have an interest in attending these HBCUs. And, so just all of those things from a holistic approach, and again, adding that recruiting factor, there's interest, there's interest. So we're fortunate to have that. What we're just having to do is make sure from a scheduling perspective that things work and things make sense. I have wonderful sponsors who have just last year, 2 of our partners, Celsius, which is our official energy drink, and Ready Life, who's our presenting partner, they gave NIL deals to Jackson State and a couple of FAMU players. So that information gets out, so I joke, I'm joking about, their calls, but no, those are things that we've been able to do. And so, other institutions want an opportunity. They do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't understand. Anyway, let me close with this, Kendra, because obviously classics and things are big conversations. They're from all kinds of money, and these organizers, are they paying for the band? And we've seen in another major classic where you got 2 schools going in 2 different directions with their marketing and everything. I'd like for you, I'm not going to say names, but if you know, I just want I want to give you the final word to let whether it be Rattler Nation, whatever those Tigers call themselves, Tiger Nation, whatever, and just I'm sorry, I won't be messy. The HBCU diaspora, let them know what the OBC brings to your university. So that way we can shut it down and you can say this, when you come to the OBC, you get this and that.
Well, like I said, national exposure. Again, we've extended our agreement with ESPN. You're playing in an NFL stadium. Again, some of these children may not ever have the opportunity to do that beyond college. You're getting an opportunity for development, an opportunity for, your school to financially benefit. And, you're right. There are questions and conversations around, other classics. And, there's no question, FAMU, we take care of the band, on top of the fact that they're all of their expenses are covered. We provide a financial stipend, in addition to that. So, it works well. It works well. Our goal and my board, I have a wonderful board. And what the board has said to me is, everyone for the most part from my board attended an HBCU. And if they have not attended one, they have, worked very closely either in politics or, in some way, shape, or form to affect HBCUs. And what they have said is we want to shut down the conversation about whether or not these institutions should have to go out and play these money games. And we want to be able to say that the Orange Blossom Classic is a game that you can play in and you can get that financial benefit that you would get, playing at University of Miami or University of Florida or Ohio State or whomever. And so that is our goal. When I heard about, the back and forth about the different schools, and I'm looking at what the other school, now receives, I'm like, well, wow, our schools get that, and we only 3 years in, so we're getting there, so, and you're talking about a classic that's been around for 40 years. And again, that is, a shout out to our sponsors, a shout out to, our fundraisers, the people on our development side, and to our elected officials. Most of our elected officials, I'm sure, as you guys know, they're either Rattlers or, attended an HBCU. So we have, Chairman Oliver Gilbert, he went to law school at the University of Miami and said the only reason he got his Juris Doctorate degree there was because it was orange and green like FAMU. So he is a diehard Rattler, so, we know that we have our local support of our local elected officials. Congresswoman Wilson, I love her. She calls me and she checks in. How's everything going? And she graduated from Fisk, but she's a supporter. So, Senator Chevron Jones, FAMU graduate. So all of them, understand that these HBCUs are an important part of our history. The Orange Blossom Classic is an important part of our history, and they want to see it remain. And if I say, listen, in order to make that happen, this is what they need, they work hard on our behalf to make it happen.
Well said. Well said. Let people know what's going on next week on Tuesday.
So next week we have our official kickoff press conference. We'll be about 120 days out from 2023 OBC. So we've got Coach TC Taylor here with Coach Willie Simmons. That'll be coming in for our press conference. So they're going to talk about what we can expect at the Orange Blossom Classic. We're going to talk about, what we can, what we can expect from them throughout the season and in each one of their, their road to the Celebration Bowl, right? So our press conference will be streaming live on all of our social media platforms. So you guys can hear from them firsthand. They will be right here in South Florida. So we're looking forward to that.
All right. So that's going to be on May 23rd, correct?
May 23rd. Yep. At 11 a.m.
All right. So there it is. The OBC opening press conference live on May 23rd. Make sure you're following. Give out the social media handles again. I don't want to mess it up because I know you got them down pat. I don't want to mess it up.
Right. So on Facebook, we are Orange Blossom FC for Orange Blossom Football Classic. Same thing on Twitter, Orange Blossom FC, and of course, Instagram, Orange Blossom FC.
All right. Kelvin, old girl's pretty good. She's a boss. She's pretty good, man. I tell you what.
Hey,
Uh,
hey, hey, don't be telling our business offline.
I love it. I love it. And I'm if I can get the stamp of approval from O&G StrikeZone, maybe I will change what I said about you never actually reach that point of perfection.
I'm gonna clip that right there, and I'm gonna play that for a few other people who need to come on to O&G. You've been hiding.
There you go. There you
That's
go.
all I'm gonna say.
No,
Hey,
I
thank you.
always appreciate you guys for the opportunity.
Thank you. Don't forget the press conference, everybody, Tuesday, and we're gonna count down with you and the staff, and as the days as we get closer to beating Jackson State in the OBC on in September. So again, thank you again for your time this evening. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
How's the wheel? You doing all right?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay.
All right. Okay, good.
You know it, but I gotta work, right? So that we do what we have to do. So I've got a few more weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, I got about 3 more weeks, but I'll be by September. Now I don't know if I'll be in heels, but I will be walking. How about that?
That sounds good. All right. Again, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you are following the Orange Blossom Classic on all your social media handles. And Tuesday, make sure you're ready and watching the press conference Tuesday live on all social media. So, hey, thank you again, Miss Bullock. You have a good evening, and say hi to your staff and everybody there, and we'll talk soon again.
All right, will do. Thank you, guys.
No, thank you.
All right. So, hey, we will do this. We're going to take a quick break. Well, let's do before we take the break, because I know coming up at the top of hour 2, we're going to talk to Hunter Viets. Let's just do a quick recap or breakdown of the OBC while we got a couple minutes before we go to break. Let me see. I'm not trying to find the right words. I just want to say, as it relates to the sun, the heat factor, a lot. It's funny because I was going back, I was watching AD Sykes' conversation with Vaughn, right? And when you watch it, you can see the live comments. And so even though there was very little talked about in that conversation about the OBC, there were lots of people asking questions. Then you had some people complaining about the time. And just like she said in that interview, the 1 or 2 people who complained about the start time was very minuscule. And then you're reminded, hey, for FAMU this year, we're sitting in the shade side. So this year, as the home team, we shouldn't have any of the issues that folks had last year. I mean, we'll pray for the Jackson State folks, and we'll tell them to, hydrate and wear hats and bring fans and all the other towels and whatever they need to. But I just wanted to get your guys' thought on that topic, because that's the one thing that I think being overly talked about. So I wanted to hear from you guys quickly before we go to break. Kelvin.
I thought she articulated the reality of it. I can understand the ask. I mean, if you watch the Bethune-Cookman Miami game last year, that Saturday, they also had some issues in the stands, particularly with BCU being on that side, the visitor side, and the sun. So the weather is a real situation, but it's a real situation for anybody who have an outdoor event in South Florida that time of year. And the only thing you can do is ask. And she already, she's heard, some, and there's been some discussion with their TV partners. And so if something a little more accommodated can happen, that's great. But at the end of the day, we are in Florida, just like hurricane season. There's a lot of things that can happen. You just kind of have to be prepared, and you prepare yourself before the day, right? You make sure you hydrate yourself. You make sure that you dress comfortably. You try to, if you're sitting in the sun, you want to get yourself out of the sun as much as possible. Take some breaks in between and so forth. and and come and support the Rattlers, because at the end of the day, the experience for the team and that student athletes, the coaches, that national media platform, pro stadium is way more pros than cons. And then she just really tickled my spirit when she talked about not having to play money beatdown games because you could play because you could play a class and get the same money. So
Play it up here.
I love what she's done, and I wasn't just blowing smoke. Most of what I've heard has been it's a first class operated experience for the folks who come here, in terms of the players, the coaches, the events, and so forth. They're mastering it. We got to continue to support it.
Marcus, go ahead.
Well, I guess the two things, just to to follow up once again, a great interview, and this is my first time. I wasn't on last time she came on, but for me, I think the question I asked, she confirmed what I suspected, and we all suspected. TV's controlling the start time, because we see that ESPN wants to have an FBS or Power 5 Sunday evening game on the Labor Day weekend if they don't have one on Labor Day evening, or both. And so having, in this case, which ironically happens to be our across the street neighbor 2 years in a row on the same evening, it's just going to dictate that if we have a game time in a contract with ESPN, that our game is going to be earlier. The second thing, and she was, of course, playing close to the vest, because she can't reveal things, but she did mention that her staff have either been approached or they considered branching out, and I'll use the term "quote unquote" franchising the process for classics. And we know of some that have been resurrected. I think the Circle City came back last year after a hiatus.
Well, it's coming back this year.
This year, I'm sorry. This year, and then last year, I believe, what was it called? What's the one in New York? That one came back. The one that
yeah, I know what you're talking about. I can't
played
think
way back in.
Yeah.
And we know there's a couple more. I think there was a short-lived one in St. Louis. I want to say the Gateway Classic, and then there was the one, the Chicago Classic. I think in the late 2000s or late 99 to early 2000s, that Jackson State seemed to play in a lot. So there's opportunities out there if she's known as, or if her team's known as one that could resurrect HBCU classics, almost akin to a coach who comes in and straightens things. I can't remember the name, not a resurrection coach, but a coach that comes in and fixes broken franchises. And if she gets that reputation, has developed the acumen to do so, then she could make that process portable and start looking at other locations. So it'll be interesting to see, but that also opens the opportunity for the teams and schools she's familiar with, wink, wink, that if we can be in a partnership with her, then she takes that model to other cities, that we could have an inside track in being one of the opponents for a couple of those, and spread the awareness, or capitalize on awareness in some of the other larger cities where she chooses to take her franchising of the classic process.
We definitely should be a partner of the OBC, without a doubt. And I'll tell you what, my own personal thought here, I know the 2024 thing is a big hot topic about the future. I'm gonna tell you what, there's one of the missions of the OBC, and I think I read it on their website, is to help HBCUs, but specifically Florida HBCUs. And I'm gonna tell you what, if the HBCU in Tallahassee it doesn't want the money, guess what? There's an HBCU in Daytona Beach that's also in our same conference that will jump on this opportunity if we mess around. I may be speculating here, but if I were, those guys over there who are redoing their practice facilities and all that stuff, and they're a private school, hey, oh, you mean Jackson State? You're coming back to Florida? Guess what? We're in the same conference. The school in Tallahassee, FAMU doesn't want to play. Oh, we'll play you. Come on, we're in the same division. I'm just putting that out there to let you know that's a possibility, and I would not be surprised. So I hope this is just a one-off. 2024 is just a one-off, and that we re-find ourselves back in that relationship again. So that's just my 2 cents. But let's take a break. Come back and let's talk with the ace of our pitching staff, Mr. Hunter Viets, right on the other side of this break. You're watching the O&G StrikeZone. We'll be back in just 2 minutes.
I have in me the ability to make you a better you. So if you work hard, focus, stay on point, you can do anything. Trust me.
We made this track to tell everybody they can follow their dreams.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KEAVERSVOICE.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
When we invest in ourselves, our glow, our vision, our vibe, we all shine. Together, we are black beyond measure.
Remember the revival? Relive the remix. Reunite for the Orange Blossom Classic. HBCU reunion experience. It's year 3, baby, and we back with that fire. Calling all HBCU fans. Labor Day weekend. The I Love Jackson State University takes on the venomous Florida A&M University. Tickets are on sale now. Watch the game in premium style seating or watch it from a luxury suite. And of course, you know the halftime show is going to be epic right here in the 305. The sonic boom of the South and the illustrious Marching 100. Who you rocking with? The 2023 Orange Blossom Classic. Don't miss the HBCU reunion experience. Labor Day weekend, Miami Gardens, Florida, Hard Rock Stadium. Trust me, we'll see you there. Oh. Check out OrangeBlossomClassic.com for tickets and info.
All right, welcome back to the O&G StrikeZone. Brian, Kelvin, and Marcus here, and it's a pleasure to be joined by the ace, the number one from our FAMU baseball team, Mr. Hunter Viets. Hunter, how you doing tonight, man?
Doing good. How about y'all?
Man, it's a pleasure.
Oh, wonderful.
Pleasure. Yeah,
thanks
for coming on with us. Hey, and first off, we got to say congratulations, man. You just graduated this last weekend. Talk a little bit about that experience of finally being able to graduate and walk across the stage.
Oh, man. First off, I mean, graduating from FAMU is a pretty high honor. And sucks I got to miss it. I had to go to Jackson State due to some weather troubles in the season. So got to miss out on walking. But other than that, they've done pretty well with treating us like we graduated as well.
Okay, that's good. I hope they were able to put together some kind of simulated ceremony to kind of or do something to make you guys make up for that. But I guess that's just, sometimes just part of being a student athlete. Sometimes the schedules don't always work out exactly. You and I think 4 or 5 of your teammates graduated. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. So here we are coming up towards the end of the season, final home stand coming up, final days playing at FAMU. Let's start with just kind of what kind of emotions or what kind of thoughts start to seep into your mind when you maybe think about, hey, this is the last weekend, this is possibly my last game on the mound pitching at Moore Kittles?
Yeah, so probably won't really hit me until Saturday, which is our senior day. So definitely going to take it all in Thursday night or tomorrow. Definitely going to take it all in. But past 2 years, there have been nothing short of amazing. So thankful for every opportunity I've had.
And you went this year from, last year, I think you were the number, probably the 2 in the weekend rotation. I know Coach likes to have a normal 1, 2, 3 on conference weekends. This year, you're the guy. You're the first pitcher, usually on the first game of the weekend. What's that transition been like for you? What's it, to let people know, what's it like being the guy to get the ball first to start off a conference series?
It's definitely a big thrill seeker. Everybody wants that big opportunity. Everybody wants that spot, and that's what I'm so happy about this pitching staff this year is everybody wants the ball. So, I mean, obviously having that, like you're getting to start Friday, it's a big game, big weekend. Obviously, that's what I mean. It's what I've been working for. It's what I've been working hard for.
All right, Kelvin, go ahead.
So you got the Alabama State, the number 1 team in the East, coming in. We just got through playing a series against Bethune-Cookman, who was the number 2, and we've seen them both teams, I think, previously over the last 4 or 5 weeks. So we've seen a lot of them recently. What is it going to take to be successful for you against Alabama State? Well, obviously they're a pretty talented team, good offensive team, solid defensively. What do you have to do to be successful?
For me, it's just consistency. Last time we played them, we lost 1-0 on Friday. Took a really good game into the bottom of the 7th, and then kind of got away from us there. But this time go around, I know how most of their hitters are, and I know what they like to look for. I know what they won't swing at. I know what they will. So kind of taking that into account with our pitching coach and kind of use that game plan to our advantage.
Follow-up question. What is it like being a player for Coach Jamie Shue?
Oh yeah, it's a wild one. Got a lot of stories about that. But yeah, it's a fun time. He's a good guy.
Won't you share just one that you can share that you're willing to share?
Ooh, I don't know about that.
But one that won't get you in trouble, because we still got like 2-3 weeks left to play. So whatever you can share.
I think it's just his excitement. He's always high energy, high strung during the games. So he's going to get in you a little bit if you slip up just a little bit. So I enjoy that part because it keeps me accountable and keeps the team accountable, and he's really passionate about it. So it's fun parts of that side, I guess.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Marcus.
Good afternoon. Good evening, Hunter. My question for you is kind of 2 parts. One, I guess, is more personal, and what has been the biggest thing that you've learned during your baseball journey? And the second part is more, I guess, focused on you, your graduation, and your teammates that graduated. Are you aware of anyone, if they still have COVID year eligibility, and if they're intending on coming back?
Yeah, so to answer the first part, basically, I'm sorry, what was the first part again?
What have you learned during your baseball journey?
So it's really just consistency. Coming into college, I thought that, I was injury-free in high school, and then I got hit with a Tommy John my freshman year of college. Then COVID hit when I finally came back, so didn't get any junior college experience, I got my first year at Auburn, University of Montgomery. That was my first official year playing. And then just a bunch of trials and tribulations after, and that just kind of had a lot of talks with my dad, former coaches, and just a lot of close friends, and it's just consistency. It all keeps, like, baseball is a game of failure, and you just got to keep playing at it, and it'll all work itself out.
Okay.
Yeah. As for the second part, I'm not too sure about the COVID year guys. I know Jared Weber and Zach Maria are the 2 COVID guys I know this is like their COVID year coming back. And other than that, I'm not too sure about the COVID guys, if they're going to play another year or however that works.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
Are you, this is the end of your eligibility at the end of this season? Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I do believe.
So when you think about your goals going into this season, and I love the way you talked about baseball being a sport of failure, I think is what you said. I've heard that from many coaches, And it's like if you can't learn how to deal with failure in baseball, then you're going to be in trouble. What were some of your personal goals? And then maybe if you could talk on what are some of the team goals as well going into the beginning of the season.
Yeah, so for me, a lot of my personal goals are more future related. Like I'd love to sign, I'd love to be drafted. So obviously all my goals kind of center towards that. That's my main achievement, to say I made it in baseball, I guess. So a lot of my goals kind of just based around that. And then as our team goal, we really just keep it really true. We like to keep each other accountable, and we know the end goal is to have a ring on our finger at the end of the season and to be throwing champagne around and sparkling wine and all that for the younger guys, but keep it on.
Right. When you guys were, when you think about how close, I know last year's team is a different team than this year. Is there a little extra motivation this time of the season when you think about, hey, we were that close to getting to the championship game, and here we are a week away from the SWAC tournament. We've got Alabama State, who's probably going to be the number 1 overall seed. What's the mindset? What's everybody's mindset like right now at this time of the year?
Yeah, so had a really good weekend, or end of our weekend, Sunday with Bethune with a walk-off in the 10th. And we kind of sat back and had our meeting at the end of the game and discussed, like, this is exactly what postseason baseball is going to be like in the SWAC. It's going to be low scoring, high intent, neck and neck the whole entire way. And that if we can persevere through that, then we're going to be just fine.
Mm-hmm. Kelvin, go ahead.
I'm interested, it's been a long season. You're the number 1. You've been fairly durable. How are you feeling at this point in the season right now, physically and mentally, I guess?
I feel great on both ends. Feel like I'm really starting to pick up towards the back half of the season. I'm really feeling a lot better than I did last year towards the end of the year. I feel a lot stronger and a lot better mentally.
Have you had any kind of feedback as to, in order to go to the next level, things that you were working on this season, things you need to add to your game? And if so, what kind of things have you been working on?
I haven't got too much feedback on that. Coach Shoop's kind of stayed on me with not being too, he calls it cute with the hitters. I give the hitters too much credit is how he says. So I try to do a little bit too much, pick at corners and kind of waste pitches when I don't need to give them as much credit, I guess.
Go ahead,
okay,
Marcus.
And one more follow-up. So what is your view? Now that you've had 2 full seasons in the SWAC, just talk about your experiences and your thoughts on SWAC baseball overall, not just the Rattlers.
Oh man, SWAC baseball is a different level, to say the least. I mean, anybody can beat anybody at any given time. We've seen Valley, like Mississippi Valley, for example, beat Alabama State, beat Bethune-Cookman, Jackson State's beat Alabama State, swept a couple teams here and there, same as what we've had. And it's a game that can go either way in the SWAC. There's no telling at any given time.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Marcus, jump in there.
Okay. Actually, to kind of follow up on Kelvin's question about going to the next level, have you ever approached Coach Shoop? And I'm making the analogy, I guess, similar to the football team where if you're playing a quote-unquote guarantee game and you're playing against an opponent from a Power 5 conference or the SEC or a regional or local power or national power, have you ever approached Coach Shoop this year or even last year to pitch against some of those teams that you're playing during the midweek that may get you highlights or get you noticed by the scouts and those who may be willing to draft you this year coming up?
Yeah, pretty much every weekend, every midweek, I'm always telling them, hey, situation dictates. I got an inning. Like, just know I'm always there. And he appreciates it, but typically always tells me no for the most part. But this year against Florida, we got a little close in the middle of the game, and I went down there and warmed up. So there was a little thought of me getting in there, but yeah, for the most part, situation dictates, and that's kind of how Shoop takes it.
Okay. Now, question, I guess to follow up just with that, I mean, just once again, using the football analogy, is it, I guess from a scout's perspective, was it more advantageous to have them see you pitch against a team like a Florida or a Miami or someone that may be top 25 or has a large program in a larger conference, to see how you match up that might boost your potential for being drafted? I don't know how that typically works.
Yeah, there's always that possibility. Shoop does a really good job of scheduling tougher opponents in the beginning of the season. Like we played Florida Gulf Coast this year. They're currently ranked #1 team in scoring offensively, and I think I held them to 1 earned run all game for my outing. So games like that, like last year we had Stetson, UCF, stuff like that, Ball State, Eastern Illinois. Does a really good job of scheduling those games to kind of help me in that aspect, I guess. Not help me, but help us in that aspect till we get to conference.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Hey, Hunter, who were some of your Major League Baseball idols growing up, or maybe who were some players that you assuming they were pitchers, but even if they were hitters, who did you watch growing up to say, man, I love his game, I want to be like that?
Yeah, definitely. Growing up, the Yankees were always winning, so I always got to watch Mariano Rivera throw. I was always a big idol of him. And yeah, so coming up, once I finally got to high schoolish, I started taking on the younger guys and guys that I wanted to mimic. And Jose Fernandez, may rest in peace. He was one of the big guys, pitched with a lot of energy, lots of confidence, swag, and that's who I wanted. I wanted to be just like that, and I feel like stuff like that I try to mimic and kind of help me out a little bit through my final years in high school.
Were you did you play any of the any positions? Were you a hitter? Because I know you don't get a chance to hit much, if at all. Have you matter of fact, have you hit at all with a FAMU jersey on?
Have not. I swing a fungo. That's about it. Other than that, I stick to throwing. But
all right. So prior to, what did you have? What type were you a hitter? Did you play other positions?
Yeah. So I came into high school as more of a position guy. Still pitched a lot, obviously, but loved playing third. Still do. Whenever we get to practice, I get to go out there and take some ground balls. Yeah, love third base. Ended up not hitting as well. I just started throwing a little harder, so kind of transferred over there on its own. But yeah, I love playing third.
All right, man. Kelvin, we got to send a text to Coach Shoop and say, Coach Shoop, you got to let Hunter, got to let him pinch hit. At least, if the opportunity presents itself,
Oh, yeah, we get some pitchers BP now and here. I hit a couple out every now and again, but other than that, I don't really get to swing much.
Do you as pitching staff, do the pitchers, do you guys normally have like a batting contest and things like that to keep your guys, because I know, like you said, Shoop doesn't give you an opportunity to bat at all. So, I mean, what do you guys do to kind of keep your time and stay involved?
Yeah, so that's a little incentive amongst the pitching staff. We throw a shutout, we get pitchers BP. So that's kind of the pitching goal for the year, is to get as many shutouts as possible, because that's coming up BP soon. So that's all the goal.
Gotcha. Let's kind of give us an idea here, Hunter, as we get ready to wrap it up. Give us a couple of things, maybe behind the scenes, that you feel like it's going to take for FAMU to, to last, to have success in the SWAC tournament, and actually get to that championship game where we were just one game away from last year. Maybe some things that fans can kind of be rooting for, or just that we need to kind of watch for.
I know we're coming into the tournament really, really high energy. We've been practicing. Coach Shoop's having us practice midday to get acclimated to the heat, because in the tournament you can play in the morning, midday, or even late at night. So kind of experiencing the heat a little bit, get used to it. And then Shoop runs a really well scheduled practice, kind of a pro level practice. So been really, really fundamentally sound here recently.
All right. Well, hey, man. We wish you've got game 1 Friday. And then you said the senior,
Tomorrow,
right?
right?
Tomorrow,
Oh,
yes.
actually, it is tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I didn't know that. I was a day off. See, I'd have messed up. All right. So you got the mound tomorrow for game 1, and then the ceremonies are. Did you mention it was Saturday, right?
Saturday, yes.
Okay. So we need Rattler Nation to show up, to be there, be loud, because this is a big series. I mean, I think most of the seeds, at least for the East, are locked in. I think. I don't know. Maybe there's a shot for us to get a 2. I don't know, but we're either going to be a 2 or 3 East going in. But it'd be a good feeling to go in and win this series against Alabama State. So, we want to wish you much success tomorrow, this weekend, and thank you, man. You've been a heck of a pitcher to watch this year, and I'm looking forward to watching you up in Atlanta. And so I want to give you the last word. Any shout outs, anything you want to say, any social media stuff you want to plug, I'm going to give you the last word.
Hey, I just appreciate y'all letting me come on here.
Man, you're too humble, Hunter. You're too humble, man. I love it. I love it. You baseball guys are too humble. But no, man, hey, thank you. You guys make sure to find Hunter on social media. He's not hard to find. Just make sure to follow. And more importantly, get out to the field tomorrow. What time is the game, Kelvin? Is it a 5 o'clock?
5.
Yeah.
Yep.
5 o'clock. It should be a beautiful sunset, beautiful weather, hopefully in Tallahassee. You guys who are there, make sure you show up, support Hunter, support the guys this weekend. I got a good feeling about us against Alabama State this weekend. So, hey, Hunter, thank you for your time, and good luck this weekend, and we'll see you up in Atlanta, all right?
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
And congratulations on graduating.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
Thank you.
Congratulations, most importantly. All right.
Yeah.
Hey, we're gonna take a short break, come back, and finish up with with some more stuff. Talk a little bit this and that, FAMU Athletics related stuff on the other side. You're watching the O&G StrikeZone. We'll be back in just a moment.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. Never ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
When you're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics, there's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
All right, welcome back to the O&G StrikeZone. Brian, Kelvin, Marcus here. Want to thank Hunter for joining us. I may have lost Kelvin here. Hey, just to kind of reset again So this past weekend, obviously, this past weekend we ended up losing the first two games in that series with Bethune-Marcus. But we did close. Like I said, we closed as we heard 5-4 on a walk-off in the 10th. It ended a streak. I think what were we? We had lost something like we had lost something like 8 of 9 going into. I feel like either that series or that last game. What was it? What was that number? We were on a sort of a horrible streak there.
Yeah, we had got swept by Alabama State. We lost 2 out of 3 to Bethune, and we lost 2 out of 3, I believe, to Jackson State.
Yeah,
we hadn't won a series in a while.
Right, and it's interesting, and when you look at the SWAC standings, the fact that we are where we are. I mean, we really. I'm gonna pull up the SWAC baseball standings here, where we're kind of sitting right now, tied for, well, not tied for third. We are sitting in third.
In the SWAC East.
Yeah, in the SWAC East at 17-10. Bethune is 18-8. I mean, Bethune would have to get swept this weekend. We would have to sort of really benefit from Alabama State either resting guys or just, I mean, Alabama State's won 10 games in a row. That's the challenge this weekend. They've won 10 games in a row. So that's the hot team coming in. And
Fuego.
Yeah, definitely. 37-15 overall. And so we just got to play well. I mean, we got to play mistake-free. I think the one thing I will say, guys, is I think our bats are good. We just have to be able to the pitchers are really gonna have to do a great job. I mean, guys outside of Hunter are really gonna have to come with it. He mentioned that guys this year really want the ball. Well, it's like, hey, you want the ball? Go make something happen. Guys are gonna really have to come in sharp and do well. Jackson State is going to be the 4 seed going into the tournament, 12-15 in conference play. Over on the west side, right now, Grambling is in first. Texas Southern is in second, according to the conference standings. Southern is third. Prairie View is fourth. So I think the teams are set in terms of who's going to be in it. The order, though, is still what's up for debate, because if we're the 3, that means we're probably playing the West 2, which today it's Texas Southern. But then again, Texas Southern, and Prairie View can all shuffle themselves. So there's no telling which one of those teams is going to come out, on top there. Yeah. And then so there's that. So the series this weekend, Alabama State is at home. You guys make sure to show up for that in Tallahassee. And then it's Atlanta. Show of hands. Who's coming to Atlanta to watch the SWAC baseball tournament? Labor Day going to Atlanta into Labor Day weekend.
Memorial
weekend. Excuse me. I always get that messed up. I don't know why. Who's going to Atlanta? Anybody in the chat? So you going to Atlanta for the SWAC tournament? Kelvin, you come up to Atlanta. What's the vibe like in Tallahassee? Are people excited about going to Atlanta?
To be honest, I don't know how many people are aware that is moved there, but I know for me personally, that's both my anniversary as well as my youngest daughter birthday. So we already have some plans as well.
Yeah, you busy. You busy. you're busy on two fronts. So yeah, you're not gonna be there unless the whole family's going to Atlanta or wants to be in Atlanta.
I'm headed the opposite way. I'm headed down there with old. I'm headed down there with old girl.
Yeah. See, I almost said something. Yeah. Yeah. So the SWAC baseball tournament is in Atlanta. Did you all know that? I see. Dina Holland said, yeah, she'll be there. She'll be in.
Now, since we'll be in the A, one thing I've been looking for, and I haven't been able to find it. The hat that Hank Aaron's granddaughter wore when we played in that classic, it was a FAMU branded Atlanta Braves hat.
Oh, the script A, the lower script, the lowercase script A.
It was a green baseball cap with Atlanta Braves A and orange, and it had the FAMU logo on the side. So if they're selling those, I'd like to get one.
Hey, if anybody comes across that particular hat, hold one for Marcus. He's good for it. He'll send you some money.
But I'm hoping we have good times in Atlanta. This because we were close last year. I don't know, was it Prairie View or somebody where we had a huge, it was either Prairie View or Southern. I think it was somebody from the West. We had a huge lead early, like 7-0, and then lost the game. And we had to go in the losers bracket.
I think that was Southern, wasn't it?
It was either Southern or Prairie View, one or the other. I can't remember which last year. But hopefully
we lost to Southern twice.
It must have been Southern then. So hopefully the lessons learned that the hitting will come through, and it seems like the hitting's a lot better this year than it was last year. But I was surprised at how well we were hitting the ball last year in the tournament. But this year seems like we're just like a lot more consistent with the bats.
Yes, I agree. I think the hitting is much improved from a year ago. But man, look, in this tournament, these
pitching and defense.
It's all pitching and defense.
Pitching and defense. We cannot have the errors. You cannot give extra outs. That comeback you was talking about last year, a lot of that came into play. Extra outs on routine plays, and then pitching not being able to hold the fort down and get outs when we needed to get out of a big inning. So that's it's going to come down to that. So that teams can hit.
Do we know if we're going to have the same broadcast team?
Yes. As a matter of fact, I did have a conversation with what don't you like about the broadcast team? Charles Edmond is he's a radio pro.
A little bit of, he's talking about Homer.
Oh, you talking about Roger Kedar? Well, look, that's a Hall of Famer. You look, if we end up playing Southern,
he's still a Homer.
Just expect Roger Kedar to be talking Southern up the whole game.
Yeah.
So just expect that. Now, if we don't play Southern, hey, then you're gonna get
objective analysis.
Objective analysis from Coach Kedar. But if we end up playing Southern, just go ahead and just know what's coming and just deal with it. That's just that man's a Southern legend. So it's just gonna be what it's gonna be.
Yeah,
but starting on Wednesday, May 24th, next Wednesday. Next Wednesday. That will be the start of the SWAC tournament in Atlanta, Georgia.
Do we like that? Do we like the moving to Atlanta, or will we rather have on campus or something?
The game's gonna be played at Georgia Tech Stadium. In Atlanta on the campus of Georgia Tech. I don't know if, from what SWAC people have told me, the SWAC tournament, when it was in Baton Rouge, played at Southern Stadium. That was a good experience. That, in terms of campus ball fields that could support a conference tournament and still give you all the amenities and the surroundings and the settings. A lot of people rave about Baton Rouge. I don't know who else has a stadium that would support not only from a stadium view, like now I think Daytona Beach is interesting. I have not been to the ballpark.
I have. Jagger Robinson Stadium is a semi-pro stadium, so
okay. So I mean,
where they play it.
What do you think about
with
that
turf field? With turf field, it's first of all, it's right there, near the water, beautiful view.
Lots of hotels.
Absolutely. So that would be an awesome spot for it. Absolutely. And I've not been to Alabama State Stadium, but I hear it's nice. But I don't know how.
I don't know. Do you really want to spend that week in
Montgomery?
Sorry, Montgomery. I'm just going. I've got my choice between Daytona Beach, Baton Rouge, and Atlanta. I take those three over Montgomery. That's just me.
Yeah. Yeah, but is it that really well attended in the first place, right? Is it really about generating revenue off of ticket sales? I mean, I'd be interested to hear the MEAC commissioner come in and kind of talk about the championship, particularly in baseball, since it is a very competitive sport in the SWAC. What is the goal and the plan of the baseball tournament? I mean, obviously they moved to Atlanta for a reason. We're gonna have to make that happen.
From what I've been told, the city of Atlanta wanted this tournament. The city of Atlanta wanted the SWAC tournament, which is why it's there.
Okay.
Now the campus just happens to be the best site, Georgia Tech, because obviously all the ACC teams are playing elsewhere for their tournament. So Georgia Tech's not using that stadium. And plus, Georgia Tech is a near downtown campus area. It's not hard to get to. I think this will be a real test for the fan base, because the largest area of alumni for probably every SWAC school, or one of the top 3 or 4, is Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, can SWAC Nation, does SWAC Nation care about anything other than football? I'm just going to be honest. That's the question. The SWAC Nation care about baseball. You have a lot of people telling you that the baseball is good. The teams are good. Yes, you have Alabama State who's playing out of their minds, but you got good teams, that many people think have an outside shot. Will SWAC Nation show up?
Mm-hmm.
If they show up, you got something on your hands with Atlanta. And that's going to be the interesting thing, especially when you get into, I don't know about Wednesday or Thursday, but I think when you get into Friday and Saturday, that'll be the real test to see whether SWAC Nation shows up.
Especially if the East schools are producing as many probably are going to anticipate going into it. So if you have Alabama State, FAMU, BCU, JSU, if you have those teams advancing to those semifinal and final rounds, then yes, it would be very interesting. Should be a good look.
And I just pulled up the Braves schedule. Looks like the Braves have a homestand the whole week between the Dodgers and the Phillies. So I don't know if there's any tie-in there or any kind of crossover appeal. Yeah, not necessarily direct tie-in, but at least just baseball fans. So pulling in additional traffic or additional eyeballs.
Yeah, I don't know.
Even though the Braves Stadium is way out in Cobb County, it's not downtown anymore.
Yeah, no, it's definitely it's a journey up to where the stadium is, where the Braves play. I just don't know with the time, the game times. I don't think, unless your team gets eliminated, hey, then you're probably like, hey, let's go check out a Braves game. But outside of that, I gotta imagine that they want. Again, that the Braves are not in the city of Atlanta. So if the city of Atlanta is behind the SWAC tournament, they don't want to do anything with the Braves. They, not for this event. I think they're going to, whatever marketing and advertising and promotions, they're going to try to push people towards Midtown. Who is it? Chuck Hunt says Chuck Hunt said he's been on Georgia Tech's campus in Midtown. So it's in Midtown. I mean, that's a popular area. There's some nice places to eat, nice places to shop. I'm sure you can transport and get around from A to B easily in the downtown Midtown area. So but I do think if you, like you said, Kelvin, if you have Alabama State, Bethune-Cookman, FAM, and I'm going to go so far as if you have Southern and probably Grambling, if you have four of those 5 schools still in and alive come Friday and Saturday, I think that's where you're going to see your biggest numbers. Because I think those are the fan bases that travel. Those are the fan bases that will probably support their baseball teams, and those are the fan bases that are probably strong in the ATL.
Which is going to be the key, being strong. And by the way, FAMU played at Georgia Tech in the stadium when we won the MEAC, when we were leaving the MEAC, and we won the tournament in Daytona, which the MEAC tournament was in Daytona at Jackie Robinson Park that year. And we played Georgia Tech because they were a host.
All right, let's transition over some recruiting info. I wanted to get us over. Marcus, do you have any of the football recruiting info prepared and ready? Because we got plenty of basketball stuff.
Let's work on the basketball. I'm still working on the football. I mean, we know we signed, or at least got a commitment from a transfer wide receiver from your University of Utah.
Mm-hmm.
Give the 411 on him if you would take a second to do that.
Sure. Let me pull it up real quick. Chris, let me get Chris's name.
Evans or something. He was from Wakava, right?
He's from Wakava, and he was class of 2022, so he was a year, maybe almost 2 years after. Oh, I do have another one. 2 years after Junior Maritovic, and he's a 3-star recruit from class of 22. And we did originally offer him in November in 2021. Chris Reed. So he's about 6'0", 195, out of Wakiva. And we offered him, and he came around. He didn't play much his freshman year, and I guess we said, hey, well, if you want some opportunity, come on. And he decided, as of right now, verbally committed. The other one that kind of snuck up on me, I know before we mentioned about an athlete from local Leon High School, but one that kind of snuck in on me, a gentleman by the name of Kenyon McCoo. That's MCCOU. He's a 6'2", 320-pound offensive lineman who is a 3-star recruit out of Mississippi, the state of Mississippi, from DeSoto Central. And he went the JUCO route to East Mississippi Community College. And this just came about, I want to say Saturday. Coach Henry retweeted something where a community service activity where 4 of the FAMU football players were participating. And when he retweeted it, he tagged the players, and 3 of them we already knew about. And this 4th one, I was like, oh, who is this guy? And so I clicked on his link, and then started following him. So now we've even more addition to the offensive line, a former 3-star rated player by 24/7 Sports who went the JUCO route and played for a team that's usually pretty good in high school, even though that year they didn't do too well, DeSoto Central, his senior year in 2020. But he's adding depth to it. I guess they spent some time at the Truesdale Gymnastics Center and helped renovate it and volunteer their time. And just from that, I was like, hey, Coach Henry spilled the beans. We have somebody else to add to the offensive line. So they're just adding depth and hopefully quality depth.
19 receivers. Now with Chris Reed. I think that's the article that Gerald Thomas had put out, our depth with 19 different receivers. I I wanted to get some comparison, and so I just happened to bump over to the University of Alabama's website to go look at their roster. They got 18 guys, excuse me, on that are listed as wide receivers. And so I don't know. I just feel like I don't think we've had that kind of depth in the receiving room in, I don't want to say forever, but I mean, that's quite a lot of guys. And it'll be interesting to kind of see who comes out of that. You know what I'm saying? Who become the top 5 to 6 guys? Because after the top 6, then it becomes injuries and performance that starts separating guys, right? I mean, this is just, my thoughts. You guys have any thoughts?
Yeah.
It's a long season.
I also add that if you add the tight ends to the receiving group, you're going to have about 6 guys minimum that are going to, this is their last year. So picking up the receivers who have 4 years left allows you to have some continuity moving forward. Also, the kind of bridge that gap between losing so many guys at one time, because we're going to lose a lot out of that group after this season.
Yeah, we are. I mean, we're losing at least 2 tight ends. Maybe 3. And think of the receivers that we're going to lose. We're going to lose K-Dot, Manigo,
Pruitt.
We're going to use Jeremiah Pruitt. We're going to use
Day-Day.
Kamara. Well, I have to look. Kamara Young, tight end.
The top 6. If the guys that we're talking about right here, right now, who we probably anticipate being the top 6, at least 5 of them are gone after this year. At least 5.
Yeah.
And if we go 7 to 8, we're probably talking 6 to 7 will be gone. So, hopefully, you just pray for good health, that everybody stays healthy, because that's the big thing, But I understand. You understand why you keep such a deep room, because little tweaks and injuries, could add up. And you hadn't even got to summer workouts, and then God forbid when you start getting into the fall camp,
And it has hit that particular area the last 2 years. K-Dot missed some time. Manigo missed some time. So we've had guys to go down to in that area.
Before we get to, let's go to the basketball recruits, because I did want to. I before we end the show, we got to talk about the Billy Joe interview with Vaughn, and then even if I don't know, I told you guys to go peep the VP Sykes interview again with Vaughn. I think we've kind of touched on some things here, but the biggest news, of course, the last 2 weeks, or I really say the last week, has been what FAMU basketball has added. And starting from, I believe it was the 12th of May, when the news came out about Jadarius Eatman, who's a 6'10" forward center who most recently was over at Lawson State College. Then the day before, on the 11th, Keith Lamar, a 6'6" guard forward from Georgia State College, who previously had played a couple years at Stetson. And then on the 10th, Love Bettis, love the name, by the way, 6-foot point guard, who transferred from North Carolina A&T, but also spent a couple years at Coffeyville Community College.
And he won a title there.
Yeah. I managed. I got some clips here we'll go through and show folks in a moment. And then, of course, at the beginning of the week, it was Shannon Grant. Shannon had come in from Mercer. And it's kind of interesting. So I found some video clips here of Jadarius Eatman just to kind of give folks. Now, of course, if you're watching the show, then you'll be able to see the highlights or just some of the clips of Eatman. But if you're listening on the podcast form, this was going to be real odd here for you. My initial interpretation, I don't know. First off, have you guys seen any of this video?
I had not.
Okay. So the biggest thing that I've noticed here from Eatman in just a minute of clip, you notice everything he does in these clips are around the low block. He's got does a good job of sealing. He's a guy who likes to finish. He's a dunker. So he's not one of those guys that's just going to go up and put it off the soft touch off the glass. There's a nice little turnaround. But everything he does is like 5 feet and in. When I looked at his field goal percentage last year at Lawson State, it was like 70%. which I mean, it should be, right? When you're finishing around the rim as much as he is, it should be, my question is, we haven't had anybody that we have gone down into the low blocks the way that he is being used here at the junior college level. Have you seen anybody used like this in the last 2 or 3 years under coach?
I don't think so. We've been guard focused. I mean, we still have a lot of guards, but we've been guard heavy. And I know KR and I've talked about that in the past, that typically at our level, it's the guard play. Well, at all levels, it's the guard play. And there's more emphasis and focus on that. But
we just didn't have a lot of skilled big men, explosive big men. Even when we had DJ Jones and that group, those guys, they could finish, and they did finish at the rim sometimes, but they weren't they weren't featured post up guys. And honestly, that's just not a art that is used a lot. So what I'm interested in 2 things with the big guys we bringing in. One, given that they come in and they're actually major contributors, do we run sets and offense to get them the ball in positions where they can be competitive? Because that I've just not seen that, but from an offensive standpoint. And then 2, how does that elevate us? Does that give us a niche within the SWAC in terms of enforcing our will on teams?
Right. The next recruit that we're looking at here, Love Bettis. Now, this is from his last year at Coffeyville Community College, where I'm just going to go pull up the numbers for him. Now, Love is listed at 6 feet tall, 170. His last year at Coffeyville, he started 30 of 31 games, scored 561 points. I believe that's an average of somewhere 18 a game. 43% from the field, almost 40% from the three-point arc, 86% free throw shooter. The previous year, he was a 94% free throw shooter, 101 assists. So that's almost 3 a game. 42 steals, so 1 steal a game. Pretty impressive. And like I said, I mean, this is him as a point guard. Now, he didn't get a lot of time at North Carolina A&T. Matter of fact, he only played he played in 30 games, but he only started 4. I think they said he averaged about 13 minutes a game. So I just don't And again, his 3-point percentage, he was a 40% 3-point shooter for A&T. That's about the highlight of what he did for them is his 3-point shooting. And there you can see it right there. I mean, the kid can stroke it. So I'm really excited about a point guard like this coming into the program. Your guys' thoughts as you watch this for the first time, I'm assuming?
Well, it'll be good. It'll be interesting to see how everything meshes because we've lost 4 or 5 players to the
Our
portal.
top 3 players, right?
I'll tell you this.
I mean, Jalen Bates jumped in earlier this week or late last week, and we already lost
Byron Samuels.
the 2 guards. The 2 guards we signed last year. So that's 3. But we also lost Saeed Burnside, who was one of the high school signees from a couple years ago.
Never played. Never heard
Yeah,
of
he
him.
never played. And
Never heard
he
of him.
transferred, and there are a couple, at least 5 or 6 players that have left the program.
Yeah, guys that we never heard of. So, hey, that's okay. That's okay. I just think this is the dynamic. I mean, if coach lets this young man play at the skill set that he has, I haven't seen anybody at FAMU this dynamic in the program. Last couple years, I'm talking. You seen a point guard this dynamic? I haven't.
Well, I'll wait till you get here.
Oh, now you say that.
One thing Coach did say that he was going to bring in transfers and junior college guys because he wanted experience and he wants the coach. He wants guys that can take hard coaching because he is a old school coach who going to be responsive to that type of coaching. So I can see bringing in a kid like this who's stocking stuffer, so to speak, does a lot of things. So it makes sense in terms of what he's looking for, but at the end of the day, we got to be better. So I'll wait judgment until they come together and we have some film.
I'm going to talk about style of play, and I don't know, maybe coaches, his style of play is going to improve a little. Because I think it could with this type of young man. And then I'll tell you, when we take a peek real quick here at Keith Lamar, I think Keith Lamar is another one that, if given the opportunity to flourish, could look pretty good. Let's go to Keith Lamar. Here's some video clips of Keith Lamar right here. Now, Keith Lamar is a 6'6" guard forward, definitely a high riser. Went to Georgia State College, which that junior college program in Georgia.
South Georgia State College.
Is it South? Okay, South Georgia State. Okay, thank you. Yeah, they are one of the winningest JUCOs in the state of Georgia over the last 4 years. I think they tout themselves as having won something like 90-something games over the past 4 years, which is the most. But he played a couple of years at Stetson University, coming out of Stockbridge, Georgia, where he went to
Eagles Landing High School.
Yeah,
Eagles Landing. I was looking at their max prep. These last couple of years, I mean, they won like 20+ games since he was a senior. His senior year, they were like 25-4, somewhere in that range. And then in these last few years, so they have a program. I'd have to see if they won a state title in that time frame. But I mean, they've had some quality teams and quality talent for Class 5A in the state of Georgia.
Yeah. Now, when you look at the stats for this young man, didn't get a lot of playing time his freshman and sophomore year at Stetson. At South Georgia State, he started 25 of the 34 games. Looking at, I'm trying to see what I can. I thought I had averages here in terms of points. Yeah, just about 8 points a game at South Georgia State. But I just see a really athletic wing. So it'll be interesting if here's a guy that gets an opportunity.
I know you're a basketball guy, man, but
It's not doing anything for you, Kelvin. That's what you're saying.
I will just wait. We'll just wait. I'm waiting patiently.
Well, look, I mean, we gotta wait with optimism, Kelvin. Come on now, we gotta wait with optimism.
Well, if you're telling me somebody coming in that's averaging 20 points a game, my optimism goes up.
Well,
you made me say it. When I hear you didn't play at A&T much, you didn't play much at Mercer. Honestly, I have to wait and see because that ain't inspiring.
Well, look, hey, true, but you also have to take into consideration that guys not getting opportunity, and this guy may be the number 3 guy at this junior college program, and if given an opportunity, I think the kid Love Bettis is the one that among all 4, he's the one that has shown you that kid on a national, on a high level winning team, what he can do.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one.
Now, the question that you brought up earlier when you were showing the highlights is, will coach take the reins off? And that's been one of the complaints.
Yes.
I guess from fans in terms of the defensive prowess and offensive.
We have no offensive identity, period.
Lackluster performance.
Right. Right. I'll just be honest. We have not had much of an offensive identity. And then, like I said, we had one shooter last year and he'll go for 21 game, wouldn't play the net. So I'll wait and see.
Well,
that's just where I'm at. I'm transparent. We keep it real on the O&G.
The one thing I will say, as I went back and watched the interview with VP AD Sykes, is that our coaches are intact. Now, I know in the interview she mentioned them being they are on a multi-year deal. So obviously, but this is I think for both coaches, the last year of that multi-year deal.
I think so.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people were freaking out. They were like, "Oh, we're on a multi-year." Well, look, slow down, people. Now, I think they are on the final year of that, and I think they will have an opportunity. Especially, I think early on to be competitive, hopefully, and to look competitive. But I am concerned. I'm concerned if, I hear AD Sykes saying they want to do things to help both coaches. Well, our coaches need to be hosting camps. Our coaches need a place to host camps. And I don't care if it's at FAMU DRS. I don't care if it's at the old FAMU DRS gym. I don't care if it's at another high school. If we can't get into Gaither and we can't get into Lawson for whatever reason, we're losing ground by not having elite camps. We're losing ground by not offering opportunities for our coaches to host camps this summer, late June, early July. And so that's a shame. That's disappointing. Again, I can count other schools doing camps across the state, and FAMU is not one of them. So that has to be corrected. If we're talking seriously about giving Coach Pillow and Coach McCullum what they need in order to be successful. Well, that's where it starts in the summertime. And then we'll see what the schedule we'll see. You know, it'll be interesting. Let's see if we make some modifications to our scheduling. You know, will we make the schedule less daunting? Do we have to play 10 Power 5 elite programs? Can we cap it this
in order to generate the revenue that they want to generate, that they're required contractually to generate in the sport?
Contractually? Whoa. Stop. Wait a minute. Hold on. What are you talking about contractually? Explain.
Basketball has to bring in a certain amount of revenue each season. So that's why the first half of the season, the non-conference schedule is primarily on road games because they have to get those guarantees in order to reach those numbers. I'm not sure what the numbers are at this point. I would say the number was probably around 600,000 for men's basketball and probably around 200,000 for women's. So they were playing those schedules, and both coaches have talked about it because it has to be revenue generating, and of course all HBCUs do it. I would like to see the Norfolk State model though, where we play a combination of some mid majors who are regional friendly, that we can be more competitive with and get some confidence against, and not just West Coast. But I know Coach uses some of those games for experiences and some other student experience, student athlete experiences, and some other things too. And as well as that's where the bigger guarantees are when you go to those big games. So again, just like what we were talking about with football and the Orange Ball OBC, I really like it. I'm hoping that we'll have some basketball tournaments, and you're starting to see some of them. Like Michael B. Jordan had one that he sponsored, as well as another celebrity. So hopefully we'll get more of those kind of things going, so that our teams don't have to play the beat down games as much also in basketball.
It's hard getting invited to those games though. When you're not winning, when you constantly having 0-10 and 1.
It's not hard if you have relationships with the folks who producing those games, number one. And number two, when it does cure a lot. But as you talked about with the camps and the access to the facilities, because we do have decent facilities, and we just had a guest last week talking about the scoreboard and sound system. So there's some investments that happened in the spring. So there's reason to be optimistic that, like for instance, Gaither Gym will maybe be available more, and so the girls and the guys won't be out of a place as much as they have been in the past. But I'm sure that is something that AD and the new staff team will definitely work toward, having facilities that Athletic has access to when they need to have access to as much as they need to. And so with that, I hope they're looking at it at a athletic only type facility for basketball.
All right. Well, I think we ought to hold on to our review of the interview with Coach Joe.
Yeah.
For next week, we'll talk about that. That there's so many open-ended questions that I still have after watching that. So I'm going to go back and watch for a third time and write down some thoughts, because even after the second time, I was like,
I love it.
I said, well, why was, and so we just got to,
I love it.
Chance to watch.
Maybe
Coach is a truth teller, and he put it out there.
I got it. Maybe we got to talk to Vaughn. Maybe we have Vaughn on next week because I feel like there's some stuff on the editing floor, maybe some things that didn't get said or didn't get put into that. I got questions. So we'll
No
try to
comment.
address.
Hey, I have no comment publicly.
All right. No, damn it. I want to know the dirt. And I'm like I said, we passed the statute of limitations. Let's call people's names out. I don't care where they're at, in a retirement home, chilling at another job, wherever they're at. Let's call them out. Let's talk to them.
I think Coach Joe kind of did some of that.
Yeah, he did. But I still feel like there's still some left. I feel like there's still some. Somebody knows where the rest of the bodies are buried, and I just want to know. I just want that. I just want the whole story told. So it's good stuff. Yeah.
Quick note on the one more signing for the basketball. Roger Coffey, he just committed today, and he's a guard out of Pensacola State College.
What's the name again?
Roderick Coffey III.
That name sounds familiar. Roderick Coffey III, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Notice coaches, and notice there's a couple of things that I noticed. Coaches leaning heavy into that Pensacola area.
Yep.
He's visiting that. He can't get him to come down to Central Florida, come get nobody. But anyway, I love you, Coach. But you keep hanging out there in Pensacola. All the talent's in Central Florida. I mean, come on now. Come to Central Florida, Coach. We got you. I got you. I got some guys. I got some studs for you, Coach. They right here. They here in Orlando. They ready for you. We got to stop losing out we got to stop losing big time recruits that who should have come to FAMU. But that's going to do it. Marcus, final thoughts as we close the show.
Well, looking forward to the baseball team bouncing back after being on the schneid a little bit the last couple weeks. One other thing I noted, the VP AD Sykes said during her interview with Vaughn, is I think she mentioned the state passed legislation that student athletes are now eligible for in-state status.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that, and I don't know what all the requirements are, or if it's
huge.
Automatic or how that works, but that helps to, well, as she said, reinvest in the program or reinvest in athletics, because that the savings, the cost differential between out of state and in state. So I don't know how all that works. I guess it was a state rule, because it came up from a question from Dwayne Sweet.
Yep.
When he asked about the state allowing auxiliary funds to be used for athletics, and then she jumped in and mentioned that they also passed a rule about allowing in-state status for student athletes. So hopefully that cost differential will allow reinvestment in the program, almost like some hidden dollars, if you will. So I don't know how
Marcus.
Yes, sir.
I think folks got tired of state titles. I mean, national champions coming out of Alabama and Georgia, while the Florida schools have been pretty much down. And then you had a school like UCF being the top school in the state. So they realized they may have to make some adjustments so that that the state university flagship schools are in a competitive position with their peers.
Just like they did with the NIL laws, just how they changed the NIL laws because they were losing out. So they realized. So maybe stuff like that ends up benefiting FAMU somehow, some way. But it was never it was never an intent for us. We just.
Oh yes, I agree. Or we're reaping the benefits of somebody else trying to make sure that the Power 5 schools are competing with the Georgias and Alabamas.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll hopefully take great advantage of that.
Yeah, I know. I keep hearing, I remember several conversations, Coach Shoup talking about that as one of the reasons why a lot of the roster on his baseball team is made up of Florida guys.
Mm-hmm. So, regional recruiting. And I think even Coach McCullum mentioned that as well, I think in previous interviews, that he has regional recruiting based on limited recruiting budget.
Yeah. So
which may or may not increase, but now you have the enticement of being able to offer in-state status or in-state tuition.
Yeah. Now, as a former out-of-state student, I wonder how that's going to play over, because I had to pay out-of-state fees until I became a resident of Florida. So my first 3 years, I paid a lot of money to go to FAMU. And so I'm just kind of curious,
Well, it's athletic. It sounds like, I hadn't read the rule yet, but it sounds like it's applicable to students who own actual athletic scholarship, which means which is saving the university money, and with these waivers and all this other stuff. They were doing waivers anyway, some waiver differentials and stuff for some of those student athletes that qualified. But this just kind of simplifies it across all sports.
Gotcha. Nice. All right. Kelvin, final thoughts.
Well, just enjoyed the show. Enjoyed the executive director. Great talking with her, and her transparency is awesome. She's doing a really good job with what she's doing. Thank you, Hunter, for coming on, and I try to at least catch some of the game tomorrow. I got some other things I did. It's high school season, and I've got a nephew and a brother-in-law, and some other folks to catch too. So I'm gonna try to catch some of that. And I got a surprise. I haven't even told y'all guys yet, but I've talked to some former coaching legends and ADs and so forth who've agreed to come on the show. So hopefully we'll lay that out over the next week, and have some interviews from folks who coached at FAMU or ADs at FAMU, or head coaches at or ADs at other programs who played FAMU, and that I'm sure Riley Nation will be familiar with.
All right. Well, hey, look forward to that information. I want to give a shout out to Elora Mason, who works with Miss Kendra Bullock at with the OBC, for helping to put together the interview, and really appreciate her time and efforts. And of course, our good friend Angela Suggs for helping, and I know Angela is on the list to come on and talk with us. And again, very excited for what the OBC is doing. And again, I think we are absolutely crazy. I'm going to say it. We are scheduling a home game in 2024, which is great. We want our home games, but we are scheduling a home game instead of taking the benefits of what the OBC is offering us in 2024. Money, staffing doesn't have to work. You don't have to worry about restrooms and concessions. All the amenities that come with being a part of the OBC for a home game against South Carolina State. I hope that game sells out, because it needs to even equal what we are missing out on by not going to the Orange Blossom Classic in 2024.
Well, I hear what you're saying, but what about the investment we're making this year? You gotta maximize that investment. You can't put all that money in and have that stuff sitting there.
Well, not only that, but let me just say this, guys. It's 2023. The conference schedule for next year, 24, hadn't came out, even though we have out of conference games, kind of locked in. There's room to, if our administration choose to, there's some room to still perhaps have the best of both. So I'm sure that they're doing their due diligence now that that team is in place, and they'll make sure that everything makes dollars and cents. And if not, we'll be here to talk about it.
You can be optimistic about that, but you can't be optimistic about some basketball videos. I see how you are.
No. Not 8 points a game, 6 point a game. You ain't playing at your whole school. You gonna come to my school and show out?
All right. with that said, thank you. Make sure you're following the O&G StrikeZone on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at O&G StrikeZone. Please download the Jericho Broadcast Network's app on the Google Play or Apple App Store. Just search my JBN or my BCSN. And then, hey, go download the BCSN Pod Zone, all of the shows that are part of the Black College Sports Network, which we are a part of, appear on the BCSN Pod Zone within about 24 hours or whenever the guy who has to do all that stuff gets a chance to do it, which is me. So when that goes up, then you can go listen to the podcast again in everywhere that you listen to podcasts: Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, everywhere and anywhere that you listen. Just search BCSN Pod Zone. So thanks to our guests, Hunter Viets and Miss Kendra Bullock. Thank you to you, everybody on Facebook, everybody on YouTube. Feel free to drop a donation. You can drop a super chat. You can drop a tip. You can see our link down there on the bottom. You can hit us up on the Square link, or you can Cash App a donation to
like
the show.
like us, man, like us. We like y'all.
And more, yeah, definitely hit the thumbs up button on your way out the door. Thanks to everybody who has, and we'll see you all next Wednesday. Go support the baseball team this weekend. Final home series against the #1 seed Alabama State on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So be good, Rattler Nation. Stay safe, be smart, and in those streets, make sure to strike, and strike again. Peace out.
Thank you.